Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 2 of the sandwich series, and today we're going to be making a ham sandwich, but not a normal ham sandwich. None of this meal deal thin slice of ham bullshit. We're going to be making our own gammon. We're going to be putting Gouda in there, some quick pickles in a crusty baguette. Enough talking, let's just get to it. First thing we're going to do is submerge our gammon joint in the water. It only needs to be about a centimetre covered, should be more than enough. Because then we're going to go in with our mirepoix, which is our carrot, celery and our onion, which basically means we're making a stock here. So it's going to essentially be a veg stock with a tiny bit of pork flavour, but it's more than good enough to use as a stock when we're finished. I don't know if you lot saw in my last videos, but there was a nice chunk taken out of the tip of this knife, and I took it down to Blenheim Edgeworks in Peckham and they sorted it right out, so shout outs to them. After that we're going to put in maybe a teaspoon of peppercorns and 2 bay leaves, and then we're going to bring all that up to the boil. Once we've got it to the boil, we're going to turn it down to a simmer, and we're going to simmer that for about half an hour for every 500 grams. Mine was 750, so we're going to do it for 45 minutes. Next we're going to make a really quick pickle. We're going to make this from cabbage and beetroot. All we're going to do is slice it up very fine, as fine as you can really. Put it in a bowl and do the same with the beetroot. Top and tail it, and if you've got a peeler, peel it with a peeler. If you feel confident that you can do it with a knife like me, do it with a knife. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. Slice it up nice and fine. If you can get them around the same thickness, that's perfect. If not, don't worry. And then pop all that in a bowl. Now we're going to make the pickling liquor. That's going to be 2 cups of water, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, and about a tablespoon of fennel seeds. What we're going to do is bring that up to the boil, and as soon as it's got to the boil, we're going to pour it over the veg, and that's going to help break it down so that we don't have to pickle it for too long. And the fennel seeds there to obviously pair with the pork and fennel, the classic flavour pairing. And all we're going to do is mix that, make sure everything's submerged, and we're going to leave that to cool and then put in the fridge for about half hour. Now onto the glaze. We're going to add a tablespoon of miso paste. That's going to be our salty element. Next we're going to add a tablespoon of apricot jam. That's going to give our glaze a bit of fruity flavour, some sugar in it to caramelise and help balance the miso paste. We're going to add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard eventually. Then we're going to add a tablespoon of molasses. If you don't have molasses, some brown sugar will be fine. Again, sweet, help caramelise. I'm just going to mix that all together. Then we're going to get our gammon. It's cooled a little bit at this point. It's still pretty hot, but we're going to give it a dry just to make sure that this glaze sticks a bit better. I'm going to coat the whole thing. Next we're going to score the fat and stud it with cloves. You could have done this prior to boiling it, but I'm a messy f***er, so I want to do it after I've glazed it, obviously. And the cloves, only do it before you boil it if you're not going to use it as a stock, because you probably don't want your stock tasting like cloves, but that's a you choice. Once that's done, we're going to put that in the oven at 180 degrees for about 15 minutes or just till it's caramelized. Then we're going to get our cheese. I'm using Gouda just because it's quite mild, and yeah, we don't want it to overpower our ham. I'm just going to grate that, probably half a block, it's fine. And then we're going to put that into the tiniest container we could possibly find in our kitchen. This is our gammon after we've taken it out of the oven. It's nice and caramelized, sticky, and we're just going to let that cool a bit. You can leave it in the fridge overnight if you like, but we're just going to use it today. Then we're going to get a nice white baguette, crusty on the outside, fluffy on the inside. We're going to toast that, not too much, just until it's a bit warm and a little bit crusty on the inside. And we're going to slather both sides in butter or margarine or whatever you use at home. And then do the same with Dijon or English mustard if you like. I like mine pretty hot. Then we're going to put a bit of our cheese on. And then just say f it and put all the cheese on. Then onto the gammon. Like I said, you can call it, mine's still a bit hot, but we're just gonna slice fairly thin slices out of that. And then we're gonna layer that on fairly thick, because it is all about the gammon after all. And you've got to have a bit for the chef as well. And lastly, we're just going to drain a bit of our pickle and get a nice healthy layer on there. We want a good bit of crunch in our sandwich. Then we're just going to slice it up diagonally, obviously, and just admire our creation. And that's a banging gammon, cheese and homemade pickle sandwich. Admittedly, I made another one later on and I actually added some coriander to it as well. Just added a nice little fresh element that I think it needed. Yeah, and that's it. Right, that was absolutely 10/10. Sweet, salty, sour, a bit fresh from the coriander. But yeah, all around 10/10 sandwich. Texture, flavour, on point. Now, I've been looking at your comments in the last video and I see some sick suggestions, so I'm definitely going to be doing some of those. But for now, I'm going to go and enjoy the sun and I'm going to catch you lot later in a bit.